We're going to go from this to this. Let's strip some paint. Hello, I'm Marcel.
And I'm Mrs. Snakeworks. So, here we have one of the world's worst painted space marines.
My God, no. Please, what is that? Don't tell me.
Let's remove that paint, shall we? So, first up, I think it's a good idea to cover your work area from the inevitable spills and splashes. We're using a big sheet of paper on top of an even bigger sheet of paper.
Now you could use anything you like for this, an old piece of paper or even an old sheet. We will also be needing a tub. The tub I'm using is this one I found laying around in the cupboard. There appears to be a dice from a talisman set inside it for reasons unknown.
Not for reasons unknown, I told you.
So here is our magic juice, methylated spirit. This one is by a Bird brand and cost under £3, which I think you will agree is a bargain. Now some of you might wonder why I don't use BioStrip. Well, I actually don't think it's as good as the meths. It's gloopier, harder to clean up and scrub away, and also costs a hell of a lot more money. I think people just recommend this one as they like to push their products, perhaps. Meths does the same, but easier, cheaper, and in my humble opinion, better. Now if you would like to see a BioStrip and Meths comparison video some point down the line, then please let me know and I shall try to do that for you.
Our scrubbing tool shall be this, a manky old toothbrush. Don't be a naughty boy and steal one of your spouse or children's, because it wouldn't be very nice if they didn't know and used it to brush their teeth, would it? We find toothbrushes with soft to medium bristles are best, as a really stiff one might catch or break your miniatures. We used to have one that vibrated, but I can't find it anywhere.
If any of you stole my vibrating toothbrush, then please give it back. We also need some cocktail sticks. If you haven't got any of these, then don't worry, any sort of stiff poking stick will work. You could even quite easily get away with not using them at all. And that's it. That's all we need to remove the paint from the marine. So let's get all our gear ready and let's get stripping. Now firstly, we need to put some of our meths into our tub. You only need enough to cover the miniature. Try to use a tub that's the right size for your needs. I think I could have used a shorter tub. Now speaking of containers, I might actually try to use an ultrasonic cleaning container machine in the future. Have any of you ever tried using one of those to strip your miniatures? In my head, it's going to work really well.
All we have to do now is dump our miniature in the stripping bath. After doing this, we noticed it wasn't fully submerged, so we added a little more of the meths. Meths or meth?
Meths.
Okay. We now have this clip of Marcel just moving the miniature around in the stripping bath with the cocktail stick. I've no idea what this is supposed to achieve, so just pretend you never saw this bit.
You didn't see anything.
You know, I don't think I've actually ever seen any of those Madagascar movies. Are they any good? Are they worth watching? Right, as this stuff has a nasty habit of evaporating, I like to leave it to work its magic with the lid on overnight. You can use it in about 10 minutes and it will still work, but overnight really does work best. Just set it aside and we'll come back tomorrow.
Outstanding. Now I'm going to use a deck of cards.
The next day, before starting work, Marcel put on a pair of gloves. Marcel is using these marigold gloves he got from Tesco for this specific purpose. Without them, it really does do horrid things to your skin. They're probably quite drying, I would imagine. Or maybe strip off the dead skin cells and make it softer. Who knows? Who cares?
Now, I would always recommend buying a pair of rubber gloves that are a size or two bigger than your actual hands. That way you'll find they'll go on and off a lot easier. They won't be all tight and you won't have to try and push your way up into them, which is a pain in the arse. I would also recommend wearing eye protection. I like to wear my finest Clark Kent style glasses, and when I take them off, I become Superman. Using our toothbrush, we then give the miniature a good scrubbing. The paint comes off really easily. You can keep dunking the miniature in the meths to remove the loose paint and then continue to scrub. It's a good job we have the protection down because, as you can see, this stuff is flicking everywhere. Sometimes you get some awkward bits that you just can't seem to get to. This is where the cocktail sticks come in handy. Just give those areas a poke and then a swish around in the meths. If you're not happy with how much paint has been removed, you can just repeat the process. Usually, just one session will be enough to strip 99% of the paint. We have the old diminishing returns on this one. Now, there's normally always one little bit of paint that's stubborn and stuck behind an old bolter or something. Try not to worry too much about getting these last remnants off. Normally you can't see them because they're up underneath or behind a part. But if you fancy discussing your preferred method of stripping miniatures, then please feel free to come along and join our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. I'll leave a link up here for you somewhere, and I'll also put one down in the description below. We look forward to chatting to you there.
After some scrubbing and poking, we are left with this. It's pretty clean now. You can see some black staining where the primer has actually etched into the plastic. A telltale sign of a rattle can primer there. But don't worry though, the staining is so fine, repainting over it will not be noticeable. We do, however, need to do a kopupokal more steps.
What?
A kopupokal more steps.
A couple.
That is not how you spell couple. What we then do is give the mixture a damn good rinse in some water to remove all the residue of the meths. Amusingly, it's hard to hold a camera and clean a miniature in water as Marcel doesn't have 3 hands. Who knew? So what he did do is just poke at it in the water. It reminded me of apple bobbing, which is, I think, a Halloween tradition where people, for some reason, bob for apples in a big, basket of water and get their faces all wet. Another tip is that the meths we used is reusable. So if you put the lid back on and seal it up, you can use it again later if you have another miniature to strip. Wonderful.
Now just don't leave this stuff laying around for your dog to drink or something, or heaven forbid, your wife. Put it away in the garage or the shed or something. You probably also might want to write poison or toxic on it somewhere.
Now while we put our paints away, I just want to give a massive shout out to all our loving Patreon supporters and channel members. Dan Yallop, Lee Blackley, Donald, Pine Tree, Bobzilla, Charles Marlowe, Andrew Marrington, Nick Ellingham, Briars and Bantams, Tim Van Stralen, and our newest member Sven V. Thank you all so much, we love you all.
We really do. Now after the Marine's bath in the sink, he's now wet, so we need to dry him off. You could just wait for it to dry like a normal person, but for some reason I decided to use some toilet paper. This is Cushelle by Sainsbury's. It's lovely, soft stuff. Now, while that Space Marine finishes drying, just want you to have a little look at this. This is a mug, as I like to keep a lot of my brushes in. And some other tools, such as these tweezers. On one side, we have a picture of Yoda here, saying, Dad, Yoda best. But also, underneath it, it says, if you're enjoying this video, then please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Ethan. And remember, Mrs. Snakeworks has said that when we hit 10,000 subscribers, we're allowed to order a Warhound Titan. So please smash that subscribe button and we can hit that target ASAP. Also, if you are enjoying the content on the channel, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. The link is in the description below or up here somewhere. Now let's check out our fully stripped Marine, shall we? When the Marine is fully dry, we have this, a stripped Space Marine. For a few minutes of elbow grease, this is perfect to just reprime and paint.
If you wanted an even more perfect result, you could just pop him back in the stripping bath and repeat the process as many times as you like. We find that 1 or 2 sessions are usually good enough, and only the most gunked up paint jobs would require more.
Gunked.
I said gunked.
You said dunked.
Now all we have to do is figure out what chapter to paint the marine next.
Done.
We really hope this video helped you, and as always, thank you very much for watching.